Oh my God. Let me show you what I got. This beat is so hot. Oh my God.
Is that bullshit?
I think not.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Candy Shop Fantasy Football Podcast, a part of the Fantasy Six Pack Audio Network. I'm your host tonight, Dylan Clemens. Here with me, as they are every Friday, the Mike and Ikes, Ike Bonnie and Michael Plant. Fellas, it's week 16 of the fantasy football season, which means semifinals. How you doing tonight on this beautiful Friday night?
I wouldn't say it's beautiful. It's kind of cold, but doing fine.
What are you talking about? We're going to get a white Christmas. You know, like
that was kind of a nice snowfall we got this morning here in Wisconsin. It's about 4 inches, but it wasn't the 4 inches that made you of like heart attack snow. It was nice, fluffy powder where you could just shovel it nice and slide it over, man. So it was no big deal, and it was kind of perfect to be honest. My kid was stoked about it. So, but guys, we actually have the first ever 12-team college football playoff that kicked off tonight. Notre Dame is leading 14-3. What's your takeaway, Ike, from that matchup so far?
Kind of figured this would happen for sure.
Yeah.
Indiana's just not as talented to keep up with Notre Dame. I only think they beat them in like sub 20, 40 years or some shit.
I wouldn't say not as talented, but man, they're just making too many mistakes. They're not executing. They're killing themselves.
Yeah, it was a gut punch right away too after Rourke threw that interception in the red zone, and then Jeremiah Love braced a 98-yard touchdown to take the 7-0 lead. It's just like definitely a gut punch for Indiana. Yeah, it was a nice run. He was dealing with knee injuries too. But enough about college football, guys. We're here to talk fantasy NFL, and we're down to crunch time now, guys, with only 2 weeks left in the fantasy season, but it's do or die now. So we're here to help you make those tough lineup decisions going game by game here. And the boys are going to give their sweet and sour picks. But before we jump into that, I just want to remind everyone, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Hit that bell for notifications too, so you know when we go live all the time with a new video. Then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans to become an all-access member. For $9.99 a month, you get access to our award-winning rankings, draft cheat sheets, where we have fantasy drafts around, access to our F6P Discord, where you get direct access to all our staff, myself, Ike, Mike, the DFS guys. That truly is the best part. You get access to our DFS projections and stacking tools as well. Like I said, all for a small fee of $9.99 a month. So go ahead, check that out. Once again, that's fantasy6pack.net/plans, become an all access member. But boys, let's go ahead and jump into what we got here. And with it being week 16, we finally got some Saturday matchups, boys. We got the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in a pretty good game to kick off the Saturday slate. Chiefs favored by 3.5 here with a game total of 42.5. No John Mechie for the Texans. Everything else looks pretty clean from the injury front. Marquise Hollywood Brown was activated off IR. It looks like he's going to make his debut this weekend for the Chiefs, which is kind of nice. I don't know if we want to plug him into our fantasy lineups right away. He's probably going to be at a pitch count, I would assume. But Ike, I will let you take it away, my friend. Give me your sweet or sour play. I don't care which way you want to go, man.
I'll do sour, and I know Mahomes, this is kind of easy, but Mahomes is dealing with a banged up ankle, going against one of the most sacked, or going against defense that has one of the most sacks, and Mahomes has 0 quarterback one finishes his last 3 games, so it's an easy one. But if you're thinking of starting him because it's the playoffs and you think you can trust Mahomes, I wouldn't.
Would you rather play him or the counterpart here, CJ Stroud?
CJ Stroud, I actually would.
All right, that's
even though he's been just as bad all year. Just Kansas City the past 6 games has allowed the most quarterback one finishes. So
In the home league yesterday, I tinkered for about 5 minutes between Herbert and Stroud. I'm like, what do I do? And I'm looking at their recents, and I'm like, Stroud has just been so bad.
Yeah, Herbert was the choice there for sure. I would have done
Yeah,
Herbert.
I'm
over
like,
both.
I think Herbert Thielens just better, so that's where I ended up. LaPlante, would you take Stroud or Mahomes in this matchup if you had to choose one?
I would take Mahomes, even though he's banged up.
All right, fair enough. Ike went his sour play. Why don't you give me your sour play as well?
All right, my sour play is Joe Mixon. You're still starting him, obviously. He's been banged up from a hip drop tackle last week, second one of the year. Both didn't get flagged, a little weird. But it's also combined with the matchup. Like Mixon's gonna play. Like he's been trending to play. He's been getting practices in, and he's been looking good. I'm just more worried about re-injury in a tough matchup because Kansas City is the second toughest matchup for running backs and schedule adjusted points. And then on the total year, they allow the least amount of fantasy points per game to running backs. So I just think it's going to be a down week for Mixon for you guys in the playoffs, and he's not going to have much of a ceiling this week, unfortunately.
You still playing him over Isaiah Pacheco if you have
Yes.
a choice? Okay, right on. Ike, take it away with your sweet play. Who you like?
I already kind of alluded. I said CJ Stroud. Past 6 weeks, Kansas City has allowed the most quarterback one finishes, which is surprising to me. But hey, maybe Stroud can finally get back to a rhythm. They need him for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been preaching about it all season, though. It's really their offensive line that seems to be holding him back, man.
Yeah.
Give him enough time.
I think Kansas City's defensive line has not been that great. So
yeah,
I think I heard a stat too.
Jones
They're last in efficiency. So they are just not getting yards on first down, second down, and then their third downs are third long almost all the time. So
what's weird is it's like the Chiefs too. Chiefs are actually averaging only like 3 yards per carry, but when they get to third down, they're the best team on third down. So it's just that's just another interesting type of.
That's because you have Patrick. That's because you have Patrick Mahomes at that point, who could just.
But with a banged up ankle, I mean, granted, he's had banged up ankles before and has went nuclear. But against this team, Will Anderson and what's his name, Danielle Hunter might get to him quite a bunch.
Sure, yeah, I could see that. Take it away with your sweet play here.
All right, you're gonna like this, Xavier Worthy. It's kind of looking like they're giving Worthy the Rashee Rice treatment that they gave Rice last year, because the last 2 weeks he is the only Chiefs wide receiver over 81% of the snaps, and then the next highest is DeAndre Hopkins at 55%. He has now seen 4 straight weeks of 6+ targets, and last week he led the team with a season high 11 targets.
Plus, you need to talk about his touches because he gets some runs as well. So. Yeah, he's probably around that 7 to 8 touches per game.
I like Runge better. He's get some Runge.
Some Runge.
But last 5 games in schedule adjusted points, Houston is the 8th best matchup for wide receivers. So if Mahomes is in, I do really like Xavier Worthy for a potential boom week this week.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. They're definitely getting him more worked in as the season goes on, and I'm pretty sure I heard something about DeAndre Hopkins is playing less snaps because it has something to do with the money they pay with him going over there or something. I thought I heard that. It could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's
how cheap.
That's what's going on. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. Maybe it's something to do with the draft pick. I don't remember what it is, but next Saturday game, guys, another good one. And just a reminder to everyone. Yes, Saturday game. So make sure to set your lineup when you wake up tomorrow. The second one is the Steelers at Ravens rematch that we just saw a couple weeks ago. Ravens favored by 7 points in this one, guys, at home with a game total of 44.5. I don't know. That number just seemed a little big to me with the Steelers being pretty good, obviously.
Well, they won the last meeting between the two, so it is a little odd.
Yeah. Nelson Aguilar's out in this one for the Ravens. No Deontay Johnson. They actually waived him, guys. He clears waivers on Monday, so that's
literally hours ago.
Yeah. It makes you wonder because there's been some problems the last couple of weeks brewing with that. I wonder if they wanted to get to the Steelers game and then release him, so the Steelers maybe the Steelers pick him up since they're dealing with George Pickens' injury here.
That'd be
reunion
fun.
here. That'll be interesting. But Ike, I'll let you take it away here, man. Go ahead with your sweet or sour play wherever you want to go.
I'm gonna go sour again, and it's another quarterback, and it's Lamar Jackson. His only non-QB1 finish this year was against Pittsburgh. The rest of the games have been quarterback one finishes. I know it's going to be tough to start Lamar. You might not even have a different option, but if you kept another quarterback, I don't want to name a few right now, but if you have to make that decision, you can come to me. But against the Ravens, he actually has 0 quarterback one finishes in his career too.
Against the Steelers, you mean?
Yeah.
His whole career? That's friggin'.
He's only played 5 times because he was injured a couple during it.
You said what was the stat, Mike?
And for what one? I said
For
2.
Lamar Jackson?
He has 0
against the
quarterback
Steelers?
one finishes against Pittsburgh.
I mean, are you looking at it as top 10 or top 12?
Top 12 because that's what most people play in.
Okay, because then I disagree with that statement because I looked up his stats, and the reason I did is because I'm going out on a limb and saying he's my sweet player this week. Because in the 5 games with Lamar starting against Pittsburgh, he's finished as QB 11. I started out with the best one. Technically, that's a QB.
Well, when are you looking on though? Because it's definitely
It was
not
Fantasy Pros. It was Fantasy Pros.
Yeah.
It was QB 11, QB 17, QB 17, QB 20, and QB 23. So almost every game has not been, a QB1 finish, but he has had one.
Yeah, it must be different sites. But anyways, yeah, I'm still going Lamar. Even then, it's still tough matchup for him. Steelers still have only allowed one quarterback to finish this year, so it's a lot.
It is tough. It is tough. I'm going off vibes here. Because the thing is you are right. Lamar Jackson had his worst game of the season last time against the Steelers because Tomlin has his number. All right, but I feel like because just the way the Ravens looked the past couple weeks, I feel like Lamar Jackson might actually break through that Tomlin barrier this week. And I just look at it as like Lamar has 7 top 5 QB performances this year. I think he could potentially get his 8th this week. They're gonna, and the thing is I'll go on to my sour pick here because with saying Lamar is going to be my sweet pick, Derrick Henry is my sour pick.
That's it for me.
Is it
Derrick
the
Henry
opposite?
plays so much better against the Steelers than Lamar does, but whatever.
And no, you could definitely make that argument. I'm not gonna, not say it's invalid. This is just what I believe this week because last 2 weeks Henry has been RB18 and RB37, and I looked at this stat too, which was a little astonishing in PPR. In the 7 games Lamar finished as a top 5 QB, that very same game Henry has finished outside the top 12 running backs 4 out of those 7 games. So all I'm saying is I don't think he'll be a top 12 running back this week. He'll probably still be top 15. Worst case scenario, maybe 18.
You think he's going to be good, Ike?
Yeah, like I said, he's a top 12 running back. Again, Lamar struggles against Pittsburgh. Another weird thing is he's never played with a significant amount of fans against Pittsburgh in Baltimore because he was injured a few times, and then the last time he played in Baltimore was COVID, and I think there was only handful of people during that. So that's something that maybe he'll help. He has the crowd behind him. I just think Tomlin has his number, so they might want to get Henry involved more.
Yeah, and you were so right. Tomlin does have his number. I'm just going out on a limb here, and I think because Lamar Jackson knows Josh Allen is going for that MVP as well, and I feel like
Lamar has no shot at winning.
No, but he's going to want to make a statement is kind of like how I see it because he's human too.
If he's not leading right now, there's no way he's going to win because he has 11 more touchdowns than Josh Allen throwing.
The problem is, though, is
it's Josh Allen's
Lamar Jackson's having a better season than
big time
last year.
Doesn't matter.
So that's where it's.
It just doesn't matter though.
One thing we've learned about sports over the years, man, it doesn't matter, especially if you've won. If you have one in a row, they do not want to give you the second one. They don't want to give you.
Lamar Jackson honestly, has something to say.
This might not matter, but I
'Cause
feel like
this is
he
for the
needs to win
division.
a
Like,
playoff
the
game
Ravens-
for him to be
the Ra-
considered MVP again. He needs to win
I
a
get
playoff
that.
game this time, and then next year he can go back for MVP case. Because they're
'Cause
right now
this-
looking at he can win MVP, but nothing else.
Because this game is 100% for the division. With the Steelers winning the last game they faced off against the Ravens, this is a kitchen sink game for them that they need to win.
They always fail when they need to win.
Yes, they do. But we'll go ahead and move on here, guys. Tito, what's going on? Need help with a couple of spots in the lineup. Need to pick 3 here. 1 RB. Shakir, Marv, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerome Ford. For context, Superflex half-point PPR.
I want
Well, he
Jerome
needs
Ford
one
for running
running-
back.
Yeah, if he needs one running back, I think I'm going with Ford because Pollard is definitely on the questionable.
Ramondre
Alert.
sucks.
Jerome Ford, I want the matchup versus Cincinnati. So
That- yeah,
out of
that's
the
true,
running
too.
backs, I'm going Ford on this one. So then we got to pick 2 more out of Shakira, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ridley. And I
Shakir
think
for sure.
I think it's easily Shakir and Ridley with Mason Rudolph as the starting QB. If it was Will Levis,
I
it's
agree
not
because
Will Levis.
MHJ is my sour pick later, so I agree with
I
that.
hate you because I agree. Oh man, but that's funny because that's Marvin Harrison Jr. When you're finally out on him, he comes right back in and pulls
True.
you in.
But I feel safer with Shakir. Man, MHJ, I'll go Shakir and Ridley, I guess. but
I
still.
literally and I know you guys don't care, but in our matchup with Juan, I'm teetering between Dowdle and Marvin Harrison Jr. in the flex and Jameson Williams in the flex, and I really
It's
want to
probably
put
Dowdle for sure.
Well, the thing is Dowdle's safe, and he's safe because of the volume, and I'll tell you why I'm not a huge fan of Dowdle later in the matchup. But I just because I'm so out and everybody's out on Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like that's why we got to put him in this week. Does that make sense? Because he's still getting the targets. He's still getting the targets, and Kyler Murray has another prime matchup. It's just he failed last week against New England.
What you're failing to understand is that it's James Conner season. God, I don't know why you need to keep saying this.
He's supposed to be hurt, Ike. That's why.
He is supposed to be hurt. He is supposed to be hurt. That's what I've been saying, and I'm glad he's not hurt.
Yeah, yeah, that makes 2 of us. Actually,
But
Trey
it's-
Benson is hurt out of that backfield. But
Are
we'll
you-
go ahead and move on. I'm just.
Was it a
I
sleep
would.
for you?
I like the wide receivers. You guys said I'm okay sitting Marv there. I think I would have a slight lean over Pollard over Jerome Ford. Pollard last time 19 carries.
As long as Pollard's
93
healthy.
19
If
carries,
he's
93
healthy.
yards, and a touchdown against the Colts in the last matchup here. He's kind of been on the injury report the last 3 or 4 weeks, though, guys, and he's played through it. So that's why.
Yeah, this time he didn't practice
the thing
Thursday.
is though, is Ford is going to get more workload, I think, than Tony Pollard, because
It's
Spears is getting more work in the offense.
Like we'll
Receiving.
talk about that game. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
later.
that game when we get there, man. But how are the Browns going to score with DTR at quarterback?
I'll give you that.
Kyle's got a question here. Laporta or Kittle? I'm still going to keep riding George here.
Georgie.
Yeah, you got to ride George Kittle, and Laporta is appealing this week because of the Montgomery injury. But it's still Kittle. I believe he's tight end 2 or 3 on the year. So it's 3, I believe. Trey McBride's 2 and Bowers 1.
Yep, for sure. Moving over to the Sunday games, guys, kicking us off. Much worse game here than what the 2 we just talked about. That's the Giants Falcons with Michael Penix
Could be all right.
taking over as the starting quarterback, guys. Let's play guess the line here. Michael Penix's first career start.
I hate this game.
What's the line here for the Falcons? How much are they favored?
4.
They're favored
Yes, they're
by
favored.
the Giants.
4.
I'd say
4.5.
I'd say 3.
8.5.
Whoa.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's a pretty big number for first-time starter in the NFL, if you ask me. But hell, what do I know? Game total 43 here. Drew Lock back at starting quarterback for the Giants this week. Ike, take it away, my friend.
Maybe that's why.
This one's easy, man. I don't really what to expect from the Falcons. You're probably trying out Drake London no matter what. Mooney, I mean, could be a flex option. Obviously, we're not doing Pitts, but I'm gonna go with Bijan and Neighbors as my sweet pick. I couldn't decide between either one. Bijan's the easy one. If you're struggling with starting Neighbors or not, you should have him in your lineup because he's just the volume king right now, especially among rookie wide receivers.
Who gets more volume?
Michael
This time
Pittman.
it's Blake
No.
Neighbors, not Michael Pittman.
No longer Michael Pittman, man. That's for
15
sure.
plus points in 3 straight games too, and that's with just some brutal quarterback play. So you gotta keep it rolling.
I'm with like you're still starting Drake London. Mooney's a little bit questionable after the goose egg last week. But I'm with him. My sweet play is Bijan Robinson. Last 5 weeks, New York Giants are the second best matchup in schedule adjusted points per game. And did you know Robinson on the year is 6th in targets for running backs, 3rd in receptions, 4th in receiving yards, but yet only 1 receiving touchdown. So I feel like maybe some regression is possible there in the passing game because you know that they're going to lean on the running game with Michael Penix's first start. So I feel like in this crap of a matchup, Bijan is going to have the biggest score.
Algier might even get 10 touches, but still not going to start him. That's just something. If you're in deep leagues, you might be able to roll him out.
I don't know if this is 100% correct, but I know I'm not going to say they were the only players, but I know Montgomery before the injury and Jahmyr Gibbs were 2 players that have yet to score under double-digit fantasy points all year. Bijan Robinson is one of those players as well. Not a single game under 10 fantasy points all year. One of the safest players you can get, and I think you're going to get a real big boom week this week against the Giants, who have just given up on defense.
Yeah, they stink for sure, man. Ike, take it away with your sour play.
Everybody on the Giants except for Neighbors. You might be able to get with Tyron Tracy, maybe.
I know Tracy's.
No, I disagree.
He just keeps fumbling, bro. He just
you got
can't stop fumbling, and Singletary looked better last week. So
yeah, you can't get away with Tracy because he's my sour pick. Last week, he doubled snaps over Singletary, but Singletary had the same amount of touches, 11. And he did. The concerning part was that Singletary saw 2 red zone touches to Tracy's 1. So I'm real nervous to play Tyrone Tracy this week. You know, unless you're desperate. I mean, I honestly would play Jerome Ford over Tracy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
Definitely.
absolutely fine with that as well. Before we move on to the next game, we got a couple questions here. Appreciate all the questions, comments, guys. Hit that like button while you're here. We appreciate that. Maybe that subscribe button if you
don't do it for Dylan, but do it for the Mike and Ikes.
Full point PPR flex 1. Khalil Shakur against New England, or we got Jalen McMillan, who's a little bit on fire on the touchdown
2 games
stuff against Dallas. Yeah,
Only
I'm still
7
gonna go.
targets both games.
I'm still gonna go Shakir here. Just hope he gets it early because this game could get ugly pretty quick. The Bills
True.
are favored by 14 points in that one, but hopefully at this point you're banking on a 5-catch, 50-yard game for Shakir and walk away.
And he always sees 7 plus targets. I know McMillan's has seen that the past 2 games. I just can't trust that right now. I'm going with what's been the past 8 weeks has been Shakur.
I mean, the safe pick is Shakur. If you want to play it safe, Shakur. But I do think you could make an absolute argument for McMillan this week. And if you want to go for the ceiling play, I do think McMillan has a higher ceiling this week.
Get some full point PPR, James Cook, Bucky Irving. When we just talked about that game for the Bills. Like I like Cookie here, and that it's awfully hard to sit him, man, because he's been real good.
Is there a way to get both?
3/4 of the season, he's had a few clunkers. That's what I mean.
But I'd pick James Cook, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where
that one's tough. I like both
Bucks
of them.
play the Cowboys. Yeah,
They play each other. Or no, Bucks play Cowboys. Cook plays.
Same question areas from the same game. These 2 questions are from. That's pretty interesting there. I lean James Cook slightly still, but I get
Buffalo plays New England and Tampa Bay plays the Cowboys, so it's not the same
Correct.
game.
No, I was saying this guy.
Same
players for the same
that's
game.
funny. That's funny. I still lean James Cook. Man, I was down on him last week in a tough matchup, and he still kicked ass. So he's getting just as much workload as Bucky Irving, and he's got a better matchup.
Yeah, agreed.
I like both though. So
yeah, if you can somehow get both, that's the thing, man. Here's the thing: if you were deciding between,
that probably is what we have to decide between because RB1 is probably freaking Bijan or something.
Well, what I'm saying is if you're deciding deciding between someone like in the Shakir range or Bucky Irving, 100% for Bucky Irving over Shakir. Like even in that
Bucky over
security, I want
MHJ for sure.
Yeah, like even so, like find a way to get him in your flex, unless it's somebody like T Higgins in your flex.
Bucky or
You
Neighbors.
you need to get Bucky in the flex.
And I'd still lean Neighbors there, Ike.
Oh,
I'd lean Bucky because Neighbors does get a good amount of volume, but Bucky gets more.
All right, next game here, guys. We got the Browns taking on the Bengals. Bengals favored by 8.5 for the game total of 46.5. Jameis Winston questionable in this one with the right shoulder. Doesn't matter anyways. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the starter for this game. Cedric Tillman, David Njoku, both questionable here. And that's pretty much it for the injury front. I'll kick it to you, Ike. Take it away, my friend.
For my sweep pick, I'm going T. Higgins when healthy, and it's only been, I think, 10 to 12 games or something. But when healthy, he's averaging 16.4 fantasy points per game, which is wide receiver 10. I like that, and he should be safely planted in your line for semifinals and even championships. So,
yeah,
he is limited participant, or maybe not even practiced yesterday or this week, but so you have to keep an eye on that for sure.
It's fine. You just got to see if he runs up the hill, man. Remember?
Yes.
I'll kick it to you, LaPlante. What do you got, man?
I'm gonna go with my sour pick, and I know he's been hot, very, very hot, but I am super sour on Jerry Jeudy this week with DTR as the starter. For the last 6 games, Jeudy has seen 11 plus targets, and 3 of those games he has had a touchdown. With Dorian Thompson-Robinson starting, I see it more like 6 to 8 target range and 0 touchdowns. Even if it is a matchup against Cincinnati, I guess Jerry Jeudy could take one to the house. He has the talent to do it, but I just don't see a lot of passing volume when you have DTR as the quarterback here.
Bengals are turning the ball over like crazy on defense too. So
yes. So like I even think the Bengals defense is a viable defense this week with DTR, whether it was Jameis or DTR. I think after what the Bengals showed they could do with Will Levis, which is Dorian Thompson-Robinson level.
I agree.
That's
Jeudy.
Who do you got, LaPlante, for your sweep play?
It's Jerome Ford. Last week he finishes the RB9 in PPR against the number 1 defense against running backs, Kansas City. I know they didn't plan against him, and he did have a long run that really did help boost his day, but he did get a touchdown. All right, which tells me he is the guy with the Nick Chubb injury, and really there's nobody else behind Jerome Ford. So he's going to see at least 15 touches, and I easily see it getting into the 20-touch range potentially. Cincinnati is the best matchup the last 5 weeks against four running backs in schedule-adjusted points. So I do like me some Jerome Ford this week.
I'm all right with it, man. It just screams a little trappy for me. Like I said, I just don't know.
Well, the thing is, it's like they're not going to pass very much, but Jerome Ford's going to run the ball. They're going to lean on the run game, and his rushing efficiency is actually better with Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
They might not have to. They might not get to run because the Bengals are
That's
just
fair.
going to come out and just dominate.
But Ford will get used in the passing game, unlike Nick Chubb.
I mean, the ceiling's not super high in this one, so that's what worries me a little bit. I feel like the floor is pretty low as well, but I think he can be fine.
I say the floor is higher.
Pinch.
I say the floor is higher than you think because there's literally nobody behind Jerome Ford.
I mean, Deontay Foreman, man.
Yeah, it's nobody.
We've already seen it at times, but okay, that's fine. What do we got here from Adam? Would you play Rodgers or Stafford over Lamar this week? Lamar has a history of not putting up a lot of points against the Steelers. No.
Before you answer this question, can you tell me what Rodgers QB is the last 4 weeks? What he is?
QB 21. QB 21.
QB
13. What was it?
QB 9 the past 4 weeks. Rodgers.
Nice.
So like this question is warranted, but I still stick with Lamar.
I just don't know how good has the Rams defense been. I haven't really. I think they're just kind of they're just average. This could be a shootout between Rodgers and Stafford. I mean, it's cool to see these two playing against each other again after so much in the NFC North. So might bring it back like old times.
I still leave with Lamar.
Vibing.
Yeah,
trust the guy who got you there.
We got JSN in bad weather, injured Bucky, or Boober bust Tyreek Hill.
Bucky.
That's Bucky.
I go Tyreek Hill.
against the
I
49ers.
mean, Jalen Waddle
Dude,
is
it's so
doubtful.
hard being actually sitting Tyreek Hill in the semifinal match because what if he just drops like 30 to 40
He
points?
literally
He can easily
could
do.
just completely win you the week.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I'm
the
going.
problem
Yep,
is,
I'm going
guys,
Tyreek.
the problem is, guys, is Tyreek Hill is not the reason you're in the playoffs.
That don't matter.
He could be
Yeah,
the
it does.
reason you win the playoffs.
And he could also be the reason you lose the playoffs, just like he's probably the reason you've lost a couple games already this year.
JSN can lose you with bad weather.
I know, but I
And-
didn't say JSN. It's Bucky.
And injured Bucky was active 2 weeks ago and gave you a 0.
Yeah, and he was also injured last week and somehow got 20 touches
Correct.
this week. So
It's like a box of chocolates, man. You never know what you're gonna
yeah,
get.
well, give me the guy who's going to get 20 touches. Is my point.
I'm going boom Tyreek Hill.
But Bucky was active, Mike, and got 2 touches the 1 week. There's no
He
guarantee
got
he's
re-injured.
gonna have 20 touches. What if the back flares up again?
I mean, dude, you can't play that game in fantasy football.
No
You
Jalen
can't
Waddle
Playing it
either.
with but
I think.
you're playing it with Tyreek Hill, and he's not injured with something like that, man.
No, we're not playing the what if game with Tyreek Hill. We've seen what he is last 3 weeks. I mean, he has been
thank you.
wide receiver 14 the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
What
But
about when
Bucky
Tua came back?
He blew up
I
2
don't
weeks
know.
ago. That's all I remember.
Bucky Irving is running back 16 the last 3 weeks, but that is also with the injury game in there. Man, I just don't like the thing is like you haven't been able to trust Tyreek Hill all year long. Tua just gave you a dud last week. I'm gonna say go with the safe guy. Give me Bucky Irving. You're not gonna change my opinion.
Chris Boswell, Kaimi Fairbairn, or Chase McLaughlin. Shout out Illinois here with Chase McLaughlin, but I'm gonna go.
McLaughlin's probably in the dome. That's all I know. Maybe Fairbairn is. No, he's
McLaughlin is in a dome because it's in Dallas. Houston plays Kansas
He's
City
outside against Kansas City, so that's not.
I think I go McLaughlin out of this one because it's not Boswell with Pickens out.
Yeah, I'll go with McLaughlin.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. I also don't have a problem with Boswell, honestly. He kicks in bad weather. He kicks outdoors all the time. He kicks on the worst field there is.
Agreed.
It doesn't matter.
But it's not that. It's the offense sucks without George Pickens. They are so bad without George Pickens, and he's already been ruled out. So, like, if they can't get into field goal range, it don't matter. I wouldn't go. That's like Boswell's been really good when Pickens has been in. But the games when Pickens has been out, Boswell is not good because the offense is not good. So it's between Fairbairn or McLaughlin, and I lean McLaughlin.
We've seen the Steelers' offense be bad this year, and Boswell kicked 6 field goals though. So
but that was with Pickens. That was with Pickens.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're gonna go Cardinals. Take it on the Panthers here. Cardinals minus 4.5 of the game total of 46.5. Trey Benson is out in this one. Xavier Legette is also out for the Panthers here. Jalen Coker questionable once again. David Moore questionable as well. So Bryce Young's weapons a little bit dinged up in this one. Ike, take it away with your sweet or sour play, whatever you want to do.
I'll make it easy since we already said it. Sour pick, Martin Harrison Jr. In 5 of his last 8 games, he's been under 10 fantasy points. He's a real boom bust wide receiver who has to rely on a touchdown. I don't think you can trust him unless you are down bad at wide receiver, but you probably shouldn't be at this point.
This could be a touchdown week, though, against the Panthers. Come on. It's good. I'm just saying it could. I'm not saying it.
When James Conner is getting his 20-plus touches, Marvin Harrison is non-existent. So.
Well, with Trey Benson being out, that definitely helps James.
Tyreek Hill or Marvin Harrison, Michael Plant?
Tyreek Hill. That's
that
easy.
One's Tyreek Hill. Because Jalen Waddle's out. If Jalen Waddle wasn't out, I think I would go Marvin Harrison Jr.
I would not even in a million years.
That's your opinion.
Didn't you say Marv was your sour play as well? Do you have anything to add, Ike?
He's not my sour pick, but it does correlate with my sour pick. It's Kyler Murray. He's got a great matchup this week again, but like I said, last week he had a great matchup and he put up an absolute freaking dud. He has 7 games outside the top 15 for QBs this year, and then 5 games inside the top 10.
I wonder how many of those have been after Call of Duty came out.
No, they've been just
Everywhere.
they're sporadic. It's so random. It makes no sense, and I think he's doing it on purpose just so people will stop saying it about him. But he gets another good matchup, and I just get this feeling it's a trap game, and it's not because he's bad. It's just because, like we said, it's James Conner season. He's my sweet pick.
Go right into it.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's the sixth best matchup for running backs the last 5 weeks in schedule adjusted points. Last 3 games, he's 8th in touches. We had 21 a game. Like I said, I just find it very hard to trust Kyler Murray last week after, New England's best matchup in the schedule adjusted points the last 5 weeks for QBs. And it's just because James Conner went off.
Yeah. No, agreed. The Cardinals want to run the football, guys. That's what they're going to do. That's how they want to win games. You have James Conner on your roster. Lock him into your lineup this week.
I fully expect the top 5 RB finish. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Over 15 fantasy points. I got no.
Brody, I didn't say
I'm thinking 20.
Brody, he's 2 games away from eating his words, man. Come on. Let's keep this James Conner train rolling.
It's probably the first time.
Yeah, it definitely is the first time. I love the listeners who recognize some stuff. Albert was calling you out earlier too, something about Zay Flowers too, and I loved it. So
I'm so out on Zay. Zay Flowers.
You're so out on a guy who sees 10 targets every week. It's interesting.
He doesn't see 10 targets every week. He sees 6 to 7 targets every week, and he barely does anything with them.
Next game here, we got the Lions taking on the Bears, with the Lions favored by 6.5 here, with a game total of 48, which seems pretty high in a game in Chicago where the weather's a little iffy right now. No David Montgomery out with the MCL injury. Nobody really of note for the Bears out in this one. Ike, take it away.
I'm going to go sour, and maybe some of you might be thinking I'm starting him in the flex, but I'm going to sit Dunze, my bad. Only 12-plus points in 2 of his last 6 games. He needs a big play or a touchdown from Caleb Williams to be relevant, and I cannot expect that from Caleb at all right now. I think you can say Caleb can also be a sour pick too.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Rome's hands worked all the time.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
When Caleb actually puts it on him, he's not doing one of these, man.
Yeah.
But, I hear you. I don't love it. You just 0, 0, 0, 0 trust in anybody on the Bears offense. And you're going to say it's because I'm biased, Mike. You said that last week, but there's a chance that they could have 0 yards and a half. Yep. We've seen it a couple times this season.
There is a chance, but they're not playing a team that's gonna cause that. The Lions are banged up with all these injuries. Like, they're gonna allow points. That's the thing. So I do think the Bears can actually put up somewhat of a fight this game. It's just, I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Lions offense. That's what's going to, win the Lions game. And I disagree to an extent here. Like, I agree with Ike, disagree with you, Dylan, because Adunze is my sour pick. He has 9 games under 9 fantasy points this week in PPR formats, and only 4 games with 10-plus points. And 2 of those 4 games, he had to score a touchdown to get double digits. So he's very touchdown or bust, and it's mainly because he's behind DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, because Keenan Allen is 100% finally making his strides in this offense. He's my sweet player this week. And you may say it's a little biased because I have him on, my team, but listen to this. Last 4 games, he's wide receiver 11 in fantasy points per game. 3 out of the last 4 games, he scored 20-plus fantasy points, and he's finished as the top 15 wide receiver 3 of those 4 weeks. On top of it, he's the 7th most targeted wide receiver in that 4-game stretch at 10.2 targets a game. Detroit is the 5th best matchup for wide receivers.
He also needs touchdowns, too, to be relevant, though.
You're right, but in Week 13, Keenan Allen was wide receiver 4 against this very same defense with less injuries, and to your remark about red zone targets, he's 18th for wide receivers in the league in red zone targets, so he is getting targeted in the red zone. So I love Keenan Allen. I know, I like Keenan Allen this week. DJ Moore I even like as well, because the Lions are going to come out hot.
DJ's fine in PPR because
that's the thing.
Wide receiver screen after wide receiver screen.
That's what both him and Keenan Allen are, just PPR monsters right now. I think in this game, in this matchup.
Yeah, Like,
Dude, they
I
just
mean, I
lost
don't have
their
a-
number one
I don't-
cornerback, Carlton Davis.
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't matter.
it does.
Go ahead. Take it away with your sour play. But
He said Rome.
It was Rome.
who do you got for your
Who's
sweet
your-
play, Ike?
I'm gonna go easy just because I could care less about this game right now because Bears pissed me off. It's Jameer Gibbs. With no Dave Montgomery, he should see 20 plus touches. I like James Conner and probably Bijan Robinson. Those three could be top 3 running backs. So give him as many laps as much as you can.
That makes me laugh, Mike.
Yeah, Jameer Gibbs has every opportunity to be the running back one on the week, especially Jared Goff. Bad weather hasn't been great all the time, especially in Chicago. Bears usually keep it close. I think the Bears actually won in Chicago, won this matchup in Chicago last year. If I'm not
You might be right, actually.
yeah. So it's interesting. Like I said, that game total of 48 seems awfully high. So I kind of like the under in that one. Now we got a question here from Malcolm before we move on.
This
Flex
one's
question. Shakir, Kendra Miller, Jameson Williams, Josh Downs.
Kendra Miller's going to be in a lot of start-sit questions on Sunday, Dylan, so prepare for it. Because with Kamara doubtful,
Kamara ain't playing, so it's Miller.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is like Miller's a safe pick, but like Shakir offers a little bit, safer floor still. He's going to get you 10 points.
I'm going Shakir.
The thing with Kendra Miller, man, with what is it, Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler at QB, they could just be 3 and out, and Miller could just not do anything Monday night against the Packers. So like,
yeah, against Packers, no way. Shakir, and then Jameson next.
I think it's like I lean Shakir for safety if you want to go for upside Jameson Williams with the Montgomery injury.
I like this for Brody. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why you're projected to kick my ass.
Connor, go fuck.
That's what I'd assume. Sounds like it's the Justin Jefferson sweepstakes for next year, our fantasy draft there. We got Terry, Tyreek Hill, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Brian Thomas.
That's another tough one.
Reed, pick 3.
Toss Reed.
Tyreek Hill. Give me.
Put Brian Thomas.
I want Brian Thomas too.
Yeah, Brian Thomas is a starter. I think
Tyreek Hill and
I'll go Tyreek Hill in this one.
Who's the other guy?
Between Devonta Smith or Terry McLaurin for me.
No, it's Terry, dude. He's on fire. I don't care about the matchup. Him and Jaden Daniels have a connection right now. Terry is second in the league in touchdowns behind only Chase. So
you don't care about the one catch he had against Philadelphia in the last game and Quinion Mitchell shutting everybody down.
I am not afraid because that was when Jaden Daniels had the rib injury. Remember, that was on Thursday night, short week. He's healthy. I'm not afraid. This Commanders offense is humming.
All right on. We got another one there from Ron. We got Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, super fun.
Aaron Rodgers.
No, I can't go Aaron Rodgers. He's been performing well, but I'm still going Brock Purdy. I know Purdy's been rough, but I'll tell you why when we get to that matchup. It's
Dolphins are a tough matchup though against quarterbacks.
They are a tough matchup, but Purdy is a good quarterback, and he's had a stretch of bad luck in the games that he's played as of late.
So your excuse for picking Purdy is a good quarterback, but what's Aaron Rodgers? Is he just chopped liver now? He is not a Hall of Fame quarterback at one point. I mean, I get it. The ayahuasca probably fucked him up a little bit too much. You never know, but still.
Nah, it's just Purdy's better. Purdy's giving you a rushing floor. Aaron Rodgers is not. So
who's DK? Like DK Metcalf?
I would assume so. Yeah. Are we going with that? Are we going with that strange? Are we going Hawkinson or
Hawkinson over DK for sure?
I always love me.
So but it's so hard to play a tight end.
It's easy when you have DK, who's been absolutely brutal lately.
He has been brutal.
Brutal weather again too. So,
if you're gonna start a tight end over DK, it's TJ Hawkinson. Don't go strange. If it's tight end premium, that's fine in a flex. Yes, even if it's if it's tight end premium, that's fine putting a tight end in the flex over someone like DK. But when it's not tight end, I find it a lot more difficult. unless you have somebody like of the Kittle, McBride, Bowers, that type where you're, Mark Andrews, Kelsey, even maybe, then it's hard to flex the tight end.
Can I interest you in the Titans and some Colts action, guys? The AFC South. We got Colts favored by 3.5 in this one. Game total of 42.5. Will Levis benched again. We mentioned it earlier. Why am I blanking on his name? Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback now for the Titans, which it probably
Come on, it's Christmas time and you forgot Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
It means Calvin Ridley should have a little bit of a late season resurgence here, hopefully. No Alec Pierce for the Colts. Didn't want to forget that one. Ike, take it away with your sweet or sour play here.
My sweet pick is Pollard if he plays, but if he doesn't play, it's Tajay Spears. Whatever one is, like if they're both healthy, I'd still choose Pollard over him. Like you said, he had that 19-point finish not too long ago, and Tajay Spears last week when Pollard came out a little bit was fantastic in the passing game, got one rushing touchdown, I believe, and scored 27 fantasy points. Tough to chase those points, but if he's the only running back, you might as well go with him.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you're rolling Spears out there if he's the only running back. Who was I'm trying to remember the running back. Tyrone Tracy. I'd rather run Spears out there than Tyrone Tracy if Pollard's out.
Oh yeah.
But my sweet player is Calvin Ridley. I touched on it a little bit. So last time that Ridley played the Colts, he saw 8 targets and had 0 receptions with Will Levis, a big old donut. In the 3 games with Rudolph starting as QB, Ridley has seen 32 targets, and he has a wide receiver 6, wide receiver 31, and a wide receiver 46 finish. So I fully trust Ridley to have a boom week with Mason Rudolph here against this Colts defense.
Agreed, man. I think Ridley's about to pop off again as well. Mike, take it away with your sour play.
This one just might be a little spicy for you guys. It's Jonathan Taylor, and all I got for you here, and I'm rolling off it. Ike wants to quote a bunch of history with Lamar Jackson, and that's fine. I'm going to quote a bunch of history with Jonathan Taylor. Did you know in his 6 career games against the Titans, he has a total of 393 yards and 1 touchdown? That's 65.5 yards a game.
That's weird.
It's not very good. So you're probably you have no choice to start Jonathan Taylor, but if you have someone like Bucky Irving, I'm going Bucky Irving over Taylor.
Agreed.
I would as well. Ike, where are you going?
I'll agree with the plan. Jonathan Taylor.
All right. If we could help it, we're getting Jonathan Taylor out of our lineups here, guys. Chad, good to see you popping in here, man. Week's going all right for myself. Hopefully it's going well for you. We got next game here. We got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the New York Jets. Rams favored by 3 in this one with a game total of 46.5. We were talking about it a little bit earlier with possible shootout with the old guys here. Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, the old NFC North foes. Ike, take it away here, man. Go with what you
I hate to say it, but my sour pick is Breece Hall. He was saved by a touchdown last week, and he only played 48% of the snaps. Clearly, he's still dealing with a little bit of a knee issue, and he's not seeing the targets like he usually does. And when the past 2 weeks he's been healthy, he's only seen 3, maybe 4 targets. Aaron Rodgers is just sending it down the field instead of dumping it off to Breece, which, hey, that's great for Gary Wilson and Devontae Adams owners.
I agree with you. Breece Hall is my sour pick as well. You have a primo matchup. Jacksonville gives up the 3rd most fantasy points per game to the running backs, and he had 51 yards last week and got absolutely bailed out by a touchdown. Like you said, only 48% of the snaps. Isaiah Davis saw 41%. Braylon Allen's a little banged up. Maybe that helps Breece Hall a little bit. But the last 4 games that Hall has played, he's only getting 15 touches a game. That's 26th among running backs. So it seems like a decent matchup with the Rams, but I'm with you. It's a trap with Breece Hall. So the real question here is who would you rather have, Jonathan Taylor or Breece Hall this week?
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, at least he's getting 65 yards on the ground against him.
And that's true. And he's getting 20 touches a game. So it's going to amount to about 70 yards, guys.
Yep. Mike, take it away with your second guy.
All right. He had a goose egg, guys, last week. but if you somehow made it through your playoffs with Cooper Kupp, he's going to have a good week this week. It sucks because you probably lost if you did have Cooper Kupp, but if you somehow made it past, man, he's going to have a good week this week against the New York Jets defense. Third best matchup last 5 games for wide receivers and schedule adjusted fantasy points. One of 4 teams allowing 10 extra plus points to the opponent's average of who is playing them. So even if you think he's going to get a 0 again because of this matchup, he's already at 10 points. All right. Just because of the matchup. So last week was the first game all year where Kupp didn't see 6+ targets. It was an anomaly last week. It was a monsoon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect anything less than a bounce back here from Cooper Kupp, and it's definitely going to happen. Well, not definitely, but it should happen. I agree. I'm also like Puka in this matchup. Obviously, I'm rolling him out here. Ike, what do you got here?
I'm going Aaron Rodgers, man. 2 straight quarterback 1 finishes. I looked it up. He does have a solid matchup against the Rams. So, and I said before, I think him and Stafford are going to bring it back like old times and go for a classic shootout.
Let's go. I'm here for it, man. Let's see it one last time. Good
Yeah.
to see you play here, joining us as well. Next game, we got the Eagles taking on the Commanders. Good matchup here, guys. Maybe the best Sunday matchup. Eagles favored by 3.5 on the road in this one with a game total of 45.5. Does Vegas think the Eagles are really good, or do they think the Commanders are a little bit of frauds here with the Eagles being favored by 3.5 on the road? What do you think, guys?
It's because the Eagles defense, man.
Yeah, it's probably is because of the Eagles defense, but they're underrating the Commanders offense right now. Plus the Commanders defense gets Marshawn Lattimore. So
I'm personally waiting for the horseshoe to fall out of the Commanders' asses. But that's
just because you're a jealous Bears fan, man.
No, I'm not. I think they're pretty overrated, if I'm being honest with you. But that's a different story for a different time here. But I take it away here with your sweet or sour play in this Eagles Commanders matchup.
I'm going sour pick. I know LaPlante likes him, but I'm going Jane Daniels. Sure, he had the rib injury, but he got dog walked by the Eagles last time they played. They love to rush a quarterback, which is not great for Jane Daniels, so he's going to have to be on the move. Why? Stop laughing. He was quarterback 24 last time they played, and in the last 10 games for the Eagles, the defense has only allowed 20 points or less on average. So
his ribs were hurt, man. Yeah.
You guys are just jealous, man, because Jaden Daniels is in the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation and Caleb Williams isn't.
I don't have any problem.
What's sad is he shouldn't win it. No quarterback should win it, and it should be either Brock Bowers or fucking the.
I don't know. Brock Bowers was pretty booty with Desmond Ridder.
Shouldn't be Offensive Player of the Year. It's Offensive Quarterback of the Year, man.
Yeah.
And just like the MVP is quarterback, on the best team. But
well, I mean, there's no way Barkley should win it this year, anyways. So,
but Mike, go ahead, take it away with your sweet or sour play. Whatever you got.
My sweet pick, and it was last week too, and I was glad I was right because it helped me get to the championship. And it's Jalen Hurts.
Yes, sir.
In his 7 career games against the Commanders, he has an average of QB8 finishing. All right. Earlier this year, Hurts was QB 15 against Washington, and it was in that Thursday night game where, again, I said Jane Daniels had that bruised rib cage, so there wasn't a whole lot of scoring. So I really do blame it on the Thursday night game prime time for a lot of, fantasy disappointments for teams. This was,
still scored 18 points that week too, so it's not like he should have been that low. It was just a high scoring week for quarterback.
Exactly. So, that game earlier in the year against Washington was only the second time in his 7 career games that he was outside QB6. So, Jalen Hurts owns the Commanders, so I think he's going to have another week where he owns the Commanders, especially after seeing the passing game get going last week.
Yeah. A little worrisome that A.J. Brown is, kind of banged up again still, which just helps Devontae Smith, but I also like Jalen Hurts too, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top 3 fantasy quarterback every week for sure. Locked in. He's going to be He's going to be fine in this matchup. Did I skip anything, or can we move on?
We're good, I think.
I didn't give my sour pick.
What do you got?
You're still starting him. It's just a scary start. It's a scary. You're looking down the barrel this week with Brian Robinson against this defense. He's getting more touches than Breece Hall, so that's a plus. But this matchup is scary. Philly's the second toughest matchup for running backs on the year, so it's just not much of not much of a ceiling game for this running back, kind of like Joe Mixon was earlier.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup all around for this Commanders offense as well. Terry scares me a little bit, man. I know
I'm more worried about Robinson than I am Terry. The way that Terry's using the red zone with Jane Daniels is more efficient than Brian Robinson's been, honestly.
All right. Yeah, I know. They definitely looked at him in the red zone. Terry's definitely been saved a couple games by touchdowns this year. That's for sure. Like 1 week was 2 catches for 14 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think, or something like that. But I will agree with you there, Mike. The red zone work.
He's got 11 touchdowns on the year. Second in the year to Chase's 15. So, like, this guy's good right now with Jane Daniels. I can't sit him.
Moving into the afternoon games, guys, we got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Vikings favored by 3 in this one on the road with a game total of 42.5 here. I take it away.
For my sweet pick, I'm going Addison. In his last 5 games, he's averaging 21.2 fantasy points per game, 8.8 targets.
Good call.
Him and Justin Jefferson are playing very well. Same with Sam Darnold. All 3 should be started most weeks. And I think you can get away with it this week too, along with Hawkinson and Aaron Jones. Basically, the Vikings offense is humming, so roll with it.
Yeah, I agree with Addison.
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
Although you do have to realize that the weather might be bad, but I've seen Addison do weird shit in the weather games previous weeks, so
he's just seeing too many targets.
I want to see how bad it is. Like if it's like torrential downpour, I'd probably sit him, but right now you're good.
Yeah, I mean, 13th amongst wide receivers the past 4 games in targets at 9 a game. You cannot sit him. He's killing it. I would start him over. Even in the weather game, I'm not too afraid because they're going to work him in the screen game. And even, if it's an underthrown ball, for some reason, him and Sam Darnold are on the same page.
Yeah, they are. Sam Darnold seems to be clicking with everybody here, man. But Mike, take it away here. Finish it up with your sour play.
It's whoever starts here. It's Ken Walker. It's Zach Charbonnet. I mean, it sounds like Ken Walker is probably going to play this week, which just kind of muddies it up because Charbonnet was, not practicing. But like if both these guys are healthy, it's a tough matchup either way. They're going to cannibalize each other. Minnesota allows the third least points to running backs per game, and then last 5 games are the fifth toughest matchup in schedule adjusted points. So I want no part of it. I know you probably got to start Ken Walker, but I would rather start someone like Brian Robinson in a tough matchup over Ken Walker.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea of it either. And this offense might struggle, man, with Geno banged up. He's good to go, right? He is going to be.
He's good to go, according to him.
Yeah, right on. So could cause for a little bit of problems here. But Ike, what do you got here?
I can get behind Kenneth Walker, but I was going to say DK Metcalf too. In his last 5 games, he has 0 wide receiver 2 finishes or better. It's just been a struggle. He's no longer the top option. JSN has taken that over. And honestly, they're just becoming more of a run team now, kind of, especially with Walker and Charbonnet back. It should be, and Geno's banged up a little bit. It could be more run heavy.
Yeah,
you can't run against the Vikings, though, man.
They might not have a choice.
But the Vikings don't give you a choice.
I mean, if it's a downpour, it's definitely a choice.
Yeah, I'd take it over.
Throw in the rain or run into a brick wall. What sounds like a better idea?
Run into a brick wall.
No.
Have you thrown a football in the rain?
No, but I've ran into a brick wall.
Oh, no, better yet, have you caught a football in the rain?
No, but
Okay.
I mean, yes, I have caught a football in the rain, but running into a brick wall is worse.
We got Terry McLaurin or Garrett Wilson here, full PPR.
Garrett.
Yep.
It's tough, but Garrett he's a wide receiver 1 right now. In a better matchup. Yeah, this is the one instance I will sit Terry McLaurin if you got Garrett Wilson.
Bucky Irving or Chuba Hubbard?
Bucky.
That's Bucky. Yep.
And we got McLaurin or Bucky.
That one's a tough one. I love my boy
Bucky.
McLaurin, but it's Bucky.
Rick says Gino's gonna sling it. Maybe.
Told you.
Maybe.
Even in the rain.
Next game here, guys. We got the New England Patriots taking out the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 14 points here. Game total of 46.5. Bills got a little Curtis Samuel's on the injury report, questionable here, but who really cares? Nobody really else of note. I'll let Ike take it away, my man. What do you got?
For my sour pick, I'm going Ramondre Stevenson. Inefficient, one of the most inefficient running backs in 2024. They could be in a blowout.
Along with Bryce Hall.
Yeah. So he'll have to rely on targets to get a solid fantasy day or touchdowns, which he doesn't get anymore with Drake May. He's only averaging 2.8 targets per game, and he's had 0 touchdowns since week 9. So it's just been brutal for Stevenson. He'll get your touches like 20 sometimes, get you like 10, 11 points, but don't expect a boom week at all, especially against the Bills.
Another one of those
Ken Walker.
where the offensive line is just absolutely brutal, man. They don't open up holes, can't get anything going. He's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. It's tough, man.
Ken Walker or Ramondre Stevenson?
Plead the fifth.
It's Ken Walker.
Yeah, it's Ken Walker.
Reluctantly.
Who's your sour play, Mike?
It's Amari Cooper. Since week 11, since joining this Buffalo Bills team, 3 of the 5 games, Cooper has been the 4th wide receiver in snaps and has seen 1 game over 3 targets. You cannot start Amari Cooper anymore. I mean, last week I thought he was going to have a good week. You know, he was coming off of 14 targets. How could you not expect it? But then to get a goose egg, I mean, now we got to look at the broader spectrum here. The last, 4 weeks, it's been brutal. You cannot start Amari Cooper anymore.
Agreed. He's no longer in the circle of trust, Fokker. That is for sure. What do you got
100%.
here for your sweet play?
It's a little bit of a cop-out, but it's everyone on the Bills not named Amari Cooper. They're just going to absolutely smash, man. Shakir, wide receiver 28 the last 4 weeks. James Cook, RB10. Josh Allen, QB1, averaging 36.4 points the last 4 games. Next highest QB is Lamar Jackson in that stretch with 24.7, 12-point difference. It's absolutely bananas, and he gets another phenomenal matchup against the New England.
Chances are he got you to the playoffs or he knocked you out like me.
And he's going to win you or knock you out again, because in this matchup, he gets the Patriots. He's going to take you to the championship, and then next week he gets the Jets, man. So he might win you the championship. So if you got Josh Allen, cheers to you.
Guys having, quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, maybe it's time to switch the strategy again and start going quarterback a little bit earlier than we usually like to go in fantasy drafts, man, because you ain't kidding. Josh Allen's really carried teams the last month of the season. It's been absolutely bananas at times, single-handedly winning you weeks. So those top tier quarterbacks are becoming important again, because there is a big gap between them now all of a sudden. When before you would have a tier after, one guy or 2 guys where it was just a big clump, and that's definitely changed now for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is the definition of a sweet pick.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Ike, you got anything to add, or can we move on?
I can agree with Bill's offense. I was going to say Shakir, but that's fine.
Yep. All right. Next game here, another gross one, guys. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders favored by 2 points in this one, which is a game total of 40.5. What is there really to say in this game, guys? We want Brock Bowers. We want Brian Thomas Jr. We want Jacoby Myers. Is there anything else that I'm missing here from this game? Somebody that you guys want to start who I didn't name?
I was going to say Jacoby Myers. Wide receiver 23 in the last 4 games, averages 9+ targets in the last 4 games. So the volume's there. He's just not going to be like 25+ points, but safe wide receiver 3.
Aiden O'Connell should be back as well. That helps out the offense. I know he's not great either, but he's better than Desmond Ridder.
And
so it's nice to have him back.
Just to get it out of the way, I want to say my sour pick because he's been brutal all year, and it's ETN. 0 touchdowns since week 2, 0 games over 15 points, 0 games as an RB1, and only 4 games as an RB2.
You know, it just keeps going back to bad offensive lines.
That's weird,
man. And
weird.
CJ Stroud has an off a year behind the offensive line, who are Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne. Guys, build in the trenches. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But Mike, give us your sweet and sour play if you have anything to add, or we could just go ahead and skip past this puke game.
I mean, if Aiden O'Connell plays, my sour pick is invalid. But if Desmond Ridder plays, man, I'm very worried about Brock Bowers. Last 2 weeks, he's been tight end 16 and 22. So I like Brenton Strange, man. If Ridder's starting, I'm literally considering starting over Bowers if Ridder is the starting quarterback. But if Aiden O'Connell's there, you can disregard that. And then I know your sweet pick was Jacoby Myers, but I think the best player in this matchup is Brian Thomas Jr. 3 straight games of 10-plus targets. Last 3 games, he's the wide receiver 8 in fantasy points per game at 22.6. Las Vegas is the 11th best matchup the last 5 games in schedule adjusted points. So I think Brian Thomas is the highest scoring guy in this matchup.
All right. No pushback there for me or Ike. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Miami Dolphins. Talk about kitchen sink games. This is about the kitchen sink game for both of these teams. They cannot afford one more loss. They need help. They're both on the outside looking in. Game total 44.5 here. Isaac Guerrero out. It's just the whole backfield for the 49ers is out pretty much. You got Patrick Taylor, the alone man. It seems like it is the Abanikanda, who has just signed last week. Nick Bosa questionable for them as well in this one. You guys mentioned earlier Jalen Waddle banged up as well for the Dolphins, but Ike, I'll let you
doubtful.
Take it away.
I know LaPlante has something nice for Purdy, so I'll keep mine quick for sour pick. It's Deebo Samuel. He's wide receiver 50 in 2024. Only has 1 wide receiver finish since week 10. And in 5 straight games, he's had under 10 fantasy points. He said he wasn't struggling, and then on Thursday night, he was seen dropping multiple balls. So it seems to be he is struggling.
Yeah,
maybe you shouldn't be working on a podcast when you're in the middle of football season. But
he got fact checked by the Twitter thing and stuff. Like, actually, he leads the team in drops. He is struggling. That made me laugh, man. Good stuff there. But LaPlante, take it away with your sour play. What do you got, man?
My sour play is Tua. 49ers allow the 5th least fantasy points per game to QBs. Last 5 games in schedule adjusted points are the 3rd toughest matchup for QBs. So they've turned it around on the defense at least. With Jalen Waddle now doubtful to play, that doesn't help Tua at all. Man, which really sucks because Tua burned bright for 3 straight weeks as a top 7 QB. But now he's burnt out after the last week's QB9 dead of a game. So I'm out on Tua this week.
Yeah.
Burn bright, die fast.
That's for sure. And Mike, I'll let you take it away with your sweet play since you like Brock Purdy in this one. But Dr. Duck here has one for you. In 3 of Purdy's last 4 games, he passed for fewer than 160 yards. Dolphins DST gives up the fewest quarterback fantasy points on the season. So what gives you the positive notion, what gives you the positive vibes that Brock Purdy is going to have a good week for the 49ers against these Miami Dolphins?
So in those 3 of 4 games that Purdy has struggled, 2 of those games, he's been either in a monsoon in LA or a blizzard in Buffalo. All right. So I'm scratching those 2 games. And that 3rd game, all right, he still was QB 12. All right. He did throw for under 160 passing yards. All right. But he had 40 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. And that's why I trust Purdy more than other QBs, is because he's adding a rushing element to his game this year that he hasn't had in the past. All right. Now, I'm throwing out those two bad weather games because, I mean, nobody could throw in those games. Stafford couldn't throw in those games. Josh Allen couldn't throw in those games. All right. And I did look this up just to be safe. On Sunday, looking like 74 degrees and only a 15% chance of rain. So give me Brock Purdy this week in a bounce back against Miami. Their defense is tough, but Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. It's just he's had a bad stretch of luck with the weather he's been playing in. So Brock Purdy is my sweet player this week.
I'm still going Aaron Rodgers over him, but you can have Purdy.
I'll take the bet that Purdy scores more than Aaron Rodgers this week. In normal scoring, not our silly scoring.
Yeah, I usually look at Dynasty 6-pack. I think that's your
who's your sweet player?
I'm gonna go with Purdy because I guess you can say Jennings. If he thinks Purdy is gonna be good, Jennings will be the top option, other than Kittle, obviously.
Correct.
So I'm gonna go with Jennings then too.
They can't rely on the run game. It's Patrick Taylor. So
Totally fair. That's totally fair. So yeah, maybe he will have to throw a lot.
We
But
got T. Higgins
that's
here.
can't rely on the run game either. So
We got T. Higgins here, Terry McLaurin.
that
T.
one's
Higgins.
a tough one. I give a slight lean to T. Higgins. Both are in the same tier,
Yes.
but one's got a better matchup. So I give the slight edge.
And
to
better
T.
quarterback.
Higgins
And then from Ezekiel,
there. I
here,
hate you, but you're right.
Patrick Taylor, Kendra Miller.
Kendra Miller. Yeah, I trust the
Which
talent
just
on this
means
one.
Patrick Taylor's gonna put up 20 some odd points just because
I don't believe
49ers
that.
running
No,
backs.
they're gonna pull a Kyle Juszczyk on us.
Yes, they will. Hell yeah. Deep league, throw that guy in. Fullbacks are back, baby.
Yes, they are. We got Sunday Night Football here, guys. Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing at the Dallas Cowboys. Both are primetime games. Not sexy here, guys. Not sexy. Bucks favored by 3.5. Game total of 48.5. So at least there's supposed to be some points scored in this one. K-Dot actually doubtful on the injury report for the Bucks in this one. A little bit of a downgrade for that offense there. He's been pretty good at times this year. Micah Parsons questionable with an illness. No Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys here.
Must have got sick from his podcast.
I was gonna say illness from a podcast.
Take it easy, man.
Someone must have
Take it
coughed on his
easy.
mic and he got the sickness.
Just go and add all the podcast hosts here, man.
All three of them have sucked. The three that I know that do podcasts have all sucked this year. So I win 100%.
That's got to be the reason why, man.
It is. Micah Parsons getting hurt all the time because he's sitting on his ass talking about God knows what.
Yeah, CJ Stroud sucks this year. It's not because of the offensive line. It's because he was doing the media.
Because he's sitting on his ass. Just like Debo, his hands don't work anymore because he's doing random shit.
Goon, man. You're a goon. But go ahead, take it away here with your sweet or sour play. What do you got?
Sweet pick is an easy one. Baker Mayfield, even without I thought the injury to Chris Godwin would hurt him. It's just basically made him better. He's had 3 of the last 4 games he's been QB1, and 10 of 14 games this year in 2024 he's been QB1. So he is one of the more consistent quarterbacks, other than maybe Jalen Hurts, blanking on fucking Lamar Jackson, and maybe Joe Burrow.
How do you blank on Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, man. I agree with you. It's his mantra is literally huck it, chuck it football, and I love it.
Hell yeah.
Good to see Baker putting it together back-to-back seasons. That off. Bucks offense is legit, man. It really is, and it needs to be because that defense can be beat up and thrown on at times.
I wish Godwin was still around. He would have smashed this year, dude.
Yeah, he was before he went down, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty gross injury. It's going to be interesting where Godwin ends up free agent, if I'm not mistaken, heading into this offseason.
Sure, actually.
Michael, kick it to you here. What do you got here for your sweet play?
Jalen McMillan. He's my sweet play. And K. Dotton being doubtful helps it even more because let's be real, Jalen McMillan is the number 2 option in this offense over Otten now. Cowboys allow the 10th most wide receivers to points. Trayvon Diggs out for the season. Micah Parsons not playing. Like, this defense is banged up. McMillan's going to take advantage of it. Behind Mike Evans, obviously, because Evans is going to get his. He's seeing more targets the last 3 games than Cade Otton, so he's already, like I said, taken over that number 2 role. And I mean, barely the Bucs are just on fire lately because the last 2 weeks I looked at it, there's only been 1 red zone target within the 20-yard line, and it's been to McMillan, and he scored on it. But they've been just putting up points, and they're not even getting to the red zone here. But it tells me that when they do, they trust the rookie McMillan. So I think he continues his streak of the touchdown.
Yeah. I don't mind the Colts. Can you not do that? Like, what are you thinking? You use your head, please. Like, what do you or LaPlante?
Hat's constricting his head too much.
Yeah, with your sour play, I'm just baffled that just happened. It's literally like you took the can or water bottle and put it right here next to the microphone and just started crunching it.
It was a piece of paper, but
like it was bored or something.
Yeah. I'll LaPlante, take it away.
My sour pick is Rico Dowdle, man. He's getting the work. I'm finding it hard to start him because of the matchup. Tampa Bay the last 5 weeks has been the toughest in schedule adjusted fantasy points. And these are the last 5 running backs the Tampa Bay Bucs have played starting from 5 weeks ago. CMC, who finished as RB10 mainly because of his passing work like he always does, but he only had 39 rushing yards. Next week was Tyrone Tracy, RB24, 42 rushing yards. Chuba Hubbard, running back 63, 43 rushing yards. Sincere McCormick's the one who's had the most rushing yards with 78, but he only finished as RB26. Gus Edwards, RB61, 23 rushing yards. So like I am very afraid about for Dowdle this week because he hasn't been getting involved in the passing game as much either. Like we saw with CMC, if you can get involved in the passing game and get 6 receptions like CMC, you can be an RB10, against this defense. But if you can't, man, your floor is RB24.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that's not what fantasy managers want to hear at this point, Mike. Dowdle's been rolling here the last few weeks. You want to just keep rolling the gravy train here. But yeah,
it scares me.
I agree with you. The matchup is a little sketchy, and I tend to agree with you here that it might not be the best week to start Rico Dowdle. Like, would you rather play him or Kendre Miller?
I'm still going Dowdle, but man, like it's a scary matchup. And the reason I go with Dowdle is because I know he's going to get 18, rushing attempts, and it's the hope that he gets involved in the passing game because he hasn't.
All right. Like, what do you got?
I agree with Dowdle strictly because he's not getting involved in the passing game. That can hurt him.
Right on. Yep. Guys, next game finishing up here, Week 16. Monday Night Football, another clucker here. The New Orleans Saints taking on the Green Bay Packers. Packers favored by 14 here at Lambeau. Game total 42.5. Josh Jacobs going to keep carrying your fantasy season. You drafted him, guys. You're probably sitting in a very solid spot here. Who's not carrying your fantasy teams who you thought might have been your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 is Jaden Reed, guys. Do we have any faith this week that Jaden Reed could maybe bounce back here, or are you guys still out on him? Mike, you're shaking your head no here.
I'm out on actually all the Packers wide receivers. They might not have to do much this week, and Josh Jacobs is just getting hammered with touches. So
I disagree. I think Dobbs is okay to start in the flex position, but that's the only one I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, who would have thought Romeo Dobbs was going to be the wide receiver you want out of this?
It's just been weird all year. For a little bit, it was Jaden Reed. For like 1 week, it was Christian Watson, but then he just started dropping the ball again, and then now it's Romeo Dobbs. A couple of weeks, it was Tucker Kraft. But honestly, it's been Josh Jacobs all year, or at least the past 10-ish games, whatever.
4 or 5 games. I mean, Jaden Reed's my sour pick. 3 out of the last 5 games, he's seen 3 or less targets. There isn't enough volume here
either. It's an
it's just there isn't enough volume. He's not getting the rushing attempts either. To just feel safe about starting Jaden Reed. He's strictly only an upside pick if you're looking for a boom week, because we have seen that he has wide receiver 1 upside. But as of late, last 5 games, he's wide receiver 63 in fantasy points per game. So you are taking a big risk putting him in there, but we've seen the upside. So if you're looking for just major upside, I guess I could see the argument for starting Reed.
Absolutely. You got any numbers on Kendre Miller here before we move on to these questions before we wrap up? Was he good? Was he your sweet play plant by chance, or who are you going there besides
he is my sweet play just because of volume. I mean, and honestly, the thing is,
defense, so that's better for me. better for you. Then.
Well, the thing is like I've been seeing reports that like the injury to Kamara looks worse than expected, and it could be season-ending.
Oh yeah, he's not coming back. There's only a couple games left.
What's the freaking point?
There isn't.
Well, you're right, and I mean
Kamara definitely doesn't want to come back because he's got a contract up and he doesn't want to risk it anymore.
No. They already signed him to an extension. I'm pretty sure. I thought earlier.
You might be right. I could be wrong, but still.
And I mean, only Jamal Williams, the only other active running back behind him. CEH is still on the practice squad, and I don't see them elevating him this week. So it's going to be just all Kendre Miller off of volume. Like he's probably going to see 18 touches. It's just how efficient is he going to be on those touches is the question. And then next week he gets Las Vegas, 13th best matchup for running backs. So I think next week Kendre Miller will have a good week, which is, championship week, obviously.
Yeah, Scott's here asking if Jamal Williams takes some work away from Kendre Miller. Maybe he takes a few goal line snaps away from him. He'll probably be there to spell him. But Scott, I feel like
but not enough.
It's time for the Saints to evaluate Kendre Miller while he's healthy.
Sir.
Give him the ball. Let him touch it. Let him
put him in the Alvin Kamara role. See if he can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just let it ride. See what you got with Kendre Miller because he's been pretty solid. This is an interesting note here from Albert. Kamara needs 50 yards to reach 1,000 for the first time in his career. So maybe that gives him.
Unfortunately, he's not going to get it.
Yeah, he's not getting it. He's doubtful.
Ike's not buying it. Yeah, Ike's not buying it here.
If they say it was an adductor, whatever, but he also hurt his groin too, dude. Don't try and come back. It's fine. You're fine.
Yep.
We don't need 1,000 yards.
Right off into the sunset, and then just go out and be overdrafted next year when you start to go in third round when you're. And that age cliff might be coming at some point, man. I'm curious to see. That's one of the most interesting things. Is I'm curious to see where he goes and drafts next. Something to pay attention to here. From Ezekiel here, Patrick Taylor, Kendre Miller. We answered that one, right?
Kendre.
Yeah, that one's Kendre.
And then Ken Walker or Tajay Spears if Pollard sits. Spears if Pollard sits. I don't think Pollard's sitting. I could be wrong. Yeah, I've been wrong once or twice before, but.
If Pollard sits, it is Spears. But if Pollard doesn't sit, it's Walker.
Agreed.
And we got Terry McLaurin in a tough matchup or Juwan Jennings in a tough matchup.
McLaurin.
I actually lean Jennings in this one. I do lean Jennings.
You don't like McLaurin as much as you think you do, then.
No, you don't like you don't think I like McLaurin, but Jennings I really like this week. PPR especially.
All right. Then we got Najee Harris or Kendre Miller to play for this week. This is a tough one here.
Yeah, that one's a tough one because Najee's been absolutely useless without George
Pickens.
Tough
matchup too, man.
George Pickens is the reason that offense has looked decent. Not great, but decent.
Kendre, I'll go with. I'll try out the kid.
Man,
I'm also cool with that.
I think I give a slight edge to Kendre Miller in that one as well. I would go Kendre. Ezekiel.
Hey, Jamie, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you popping in here right at the end. We just finished up our last game, actually. So unfortunately, you missed us here. But guys, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully, we helped you with some of your start-sit decisions. If you don't know already, guys, we do the Sunday social show where we answer your start-sit questions for an hour straight. So if you want to tune into that, check us out at 11 o'clock Eastern time with myself, Michael Plant, and Jordan Schultz talking start sits. We have Alan Sandage will be there talking his best bets of the week, and then we'll have the DFS guys coming for the last hour of the show. Keith Fleming, Chris Robin, giving out their favorite plays on the DFS streets, and they do a pretty good job of making you money, guys. So yeah, once again, that starts at about 10:30. 10:30, 10:45 Eastern time on Sunday. So make sure to check that out. On your way out, if you could, we'd appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're not already. Hit that bell for notifications. We really do appreciate it. But until Sunday, for Ike and Mike, I'm Dylan. We'll talk to you guys next time. The candy shop is closed.
Bye.